disc golfers! In one of my first videos, we talked a little bit about all the 2019 hype. I was throwing some hashtags out earlier in the year. Guess what? We've got more hype. We've already had the Kong, already had the Luna come out. We had Yuli release the Raptor, and now we go back to Paul, and he has a fairway driver for us. I'm excited to see what it's going to be, but before we get to that point, Wes and I are going to kind of speculate what our thoughts are going to be for this disc. So make sure you stay tuned, and we're going to ask you for your input towards the end as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those shots of the McBeast crushing on those Predators. That was back from the Memorial, actually. So shout out to Disc Golf Pro Tour for that video footage. Wes, let's talk a little bit about the Beat the Beast, a flyer that you guys have been going. Well, actually, we'll put the flyer up here. You guys can take a look at it right now.
Nice.
This little flyer that's been going around. Wes, you actually said you had an email, too, or your AmNats email that kind of explained a little bit more in depth as to what this flyer is. Can you give us a rundown?
Yeah. The TD had sent out an email to AmNats players in tandem with the flyer. I think a lot of people probably just need to kind of read the flyer. It is for AmNats qualified players only and their caddies. So if you are caddying for the weekend for one of your buddies, you can play. And if you're playing in the event, then you can also sign up. I think a lot of people might be confused, thinking they got to shoot 19 down to beat Paul, but it said, at least in the email, that he will be shooting around the Thursday prior or the Thursday of, I forget which it was. Probably not likely he'll shoot another 18 down, but I guess you never know. But you got a doubles team to take it on, and Paul will be playing from the Great Lakes Open Pro pads, which are a little bit longer on a couple holes, and it sounds like the AMs will be playing from the AmNats layout, which is a little bit shorter on a couple holes too. So I think some people are going to have a good chance to beat him.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a little side note in this flyer that caught quite a few people's attention. Something about a fairway driver.
Yeah, I think Paul had mentioned he's going to have he's got his lineup of McBeth discs. We've seen the Luna, we've seen the Kong. And looks like we will very soon get to see his fairway driver, too.
Man, this is a crazy year for releases for Discraft. Like you said, we've seen the Luna, we've seen the Kong, we've seen the Raptor come out. Wow. Yeah,
it's been a big year for releases, some really good molds. It seems like Discraft has really filled some of the holes maybe that they had in their lineup. The Raptor certainly did. The Kong is a dynamic driver. And the Luna is a nice, stable, beadless putter. So some great additions to the Discraft lineup. I think if we're looking, obviously everybody wants to speculate what this new fairway driver could be from Paul. And, I think we kind of look at what his bag has right now and maybe what he's been throwing a little bit. And obviously we had the video of him throwing the Predator. That has been his stable fairway. To kind of complement the Undertaker, which is a pretty straight fairway for Paul this year. And I think we saw him throwing the AmNats Vulture at maybe Vegas or GBO, or at least he had it in his hand a couple of times.
Yeah, I remember seeing some pictures go around, and I think I even seen AT post on the Discraft All Day page about McBeth throwing the Vulture. Something about like it took him this long to find out about how good this disc is, something like that. But
yeah, so, I think we see him throwing that. He doesn't really throw a lot of understable plastic. When we look at the Luna, it's a kind of a neutral to stable putter. The Kong is a stable driver. And so I would kind of lean on this fairway driver release probably being a stable fairway driver, kind of to continue the trend. And, I think one idea that I had shared with some people earlier in the year is that Paul, is building his lineup. And I think at some point what we're going to see is Paul's 4 signature discs with Discraft in the Zone, the Buzz, the Undertaker and the Force, and then we're probably going to see, 4, maybe potentially more down the road of the McBeth lineup discs in his bag. So obviously we got the Luna and the Kong, and in terms of what else Paul is throwing right now in his bag that isn't a signature disc or a McBeth disc is the Predator. And so to me, it makes a lot of sense that Paul would kind of design something that is, probably between a Vulture and a Predator. We just touched on him throwing the Amnats Vultures, which are pretty stable as far as Vultures go. And it seems like the Predators he's been throwing have been maybe a little bit beat up or a little bit worked in. Mm-hmm. So it seems like he's kind of looking for something right in between, that normal Vulture and a beat up Predator, something kind of like a stable Vulture, but maybe suited a little bit more to the hand feel that he likes.
Okay. So I always go with something different than what Wes says. We never agree on stuff, and I'm usually wrong. I'll admit that. But one disc that I haven't seen him replace since switching to this company is going to be something more in that Leopard 3 slot. And I feel like the Heat is just a little too understable to really fill that role. And I feel like my first run Heat kind of fills that slot, maybe a little faster, but it kind of fills that slot closest to the Leopards that I used to, because I switched before the Leopard 3 came out. But I threw a lot of Leopards, and that was the hardest disc for me to replace. Everybody said Stalker. No, it wasn't the same. So finally I found first run Heats slightly before AM Worlds a couple years ago, and wow, the few ones that I've had a little bit of beef, a little bit of extra glide, compared to a lot of the Heats that I throw now that have that turnover and actually a right finish. So there's quite a bit of a difference in those. So I would love to see a fairway driver that would fill more of that Leopard 3 straight flyer, understable kind of, where you can hyzer flip it a little bit and not hyzer flip it like a Heat where it kind of wants to turn. But. Yeah,
I think Paul is, he's very business minded. The choices that he's made in partnership with Discraft have been, at least to me, very business minded and also very practical. Mm-hmm. And I don't see him throwing a lot of understable stuff like the Heat or the Mantis even, which is kind of a neutral fairway, or the Stalker. And so I think just in terms of, Paul thinking about the McBeth brand and, what he's throwing, and maybe a little bit less concerned with filling a gap or maybe a small missing piece in the Discraft lineup. I think he's probably more geared towards what's in his bag, what can I put the McBeth name on that I'm going to be throwing, and so that's what leads me to believe it'll likely be something on the more stable end for fairway drivers.
We will have to see, because
I said,
we'll see. Still has it. He's been throwing a lot of mid ranges in that Leopard 3 spot, so I would like to see something in that spot.
Jawbreaker Wasp is kind of what he's been throwing for that. The Jawbreaker Wasps are kind of oddly understable, I guess.
Yeah, and it's kind of an oddity disc a little bit too. I mean, So I guess.
Well, and that might be something that we see for his mid range. Whenever that comes out, is I think that one's probably tough to duplicate. I'm not sure why those Jawbreaker Wasps were kind of as unstable as they are. It's always kind of been surprising to me. But I think that could be a good kind of guess maybe for a mid-range when he does come out with the McBeth mid-range.
Maybe. Why don't you guys comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. What kind of disc do you think it's going to be? Maybe me and Wes are completely off and it's going to be something different. In the middle, the only thing. We got left and right kind of covered. So let us know. Also, comment down below a name that you think this disc is going to be.
Like that.
Like the video. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Turn that notification bell on so that when making new videos, which we've been doing quite a bit lately, you will know that we made a new video. And obviously, the most important thing, why don't you make that putt?
That putt.
I'm never close on that. Do you want to try to give it a shot to name it real quick? I'm gonna come up with a name. I gotta think.
Okay.
I gotta think of something wild here real quick.
Yeah.
So you really think it's gonna be a 4-letter one too?
Why not?
All right, we're not even going to come up with names. I'm giving up already. I give up. Oh,
Do you want to watch more awesome videos? We know you do. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, turn on that notification bell so that you're notified every time we post new videos here at Underground Interviews.